Hi guys, welcome back to another GGF video. Now today we're taking a look at the brand new ASRock Z270 Gaming K6 motherboard. This is our first of the Fatality series from ASRock and their Z270 that we will be checking out. Now this is a board here, really impressed with just the build quality so far, how it looks. They're sticking with their red Fatality sort of range, which I think is really nice. And you probably can't see the heat sinks up here. There's really nice brushed aluminium red, kind of a darker red, which is really nice. This board is sort of similar to the ASRock Extreme 4. If you haven't looked at that board, we did a video a few weeks ago on that. Really impressed with that board. The price is really on point and you get a lot of features for what you get. Now, I was expecting this to be like at least 50, 100 bucks more than the Extreme 4, but it's basically exactly the same. This retails for 259 Australian and you get actually a few more features than the Extreme 4. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the features, what you get in the accessories in the box and all that, because ASRock do go a little bit beyond to give you some few extras that you can use. And we'll also throw in a 7700K in this board. We'll see how it overclocks and yeah, we'll go from there. All right, now quick look at the box. We can see very nice design. I'm loving these new Fatality theme boxes, all nice and red, very stand out. Not too much on the sides, just the branding there, and we've got a heap of information on the back. Now, a lot of people do like the boxes, and I do like it when companies go to a bit of extra work to showcase what the board has to offer. We've got heaps of information with the LED, the sound blast, and I think most importantly is the included SLI high bandwidth bridge. Now, I think that's sort of a real winner that ASRock are including the two-way high bandwidth bridge in there as well. Now, taking a look inside the box, of course, we have the Z270 Gaming K6 manual. This is a multi-language manual there. Now, moving on to the SATA cables, we get 4 all up, 2 are right angles and 2 are straight through. What else do we have? We got this thing, this was in the Extreme 4 as well. It just looks like a postcard, just a novelty item, which I guess is all right. Then we have a Z270 Gaming. This looks like a software setup guide, so this will be handy to use the sort of ASRock implemented software with this board, which I do think is good. Moving on to the I/O shield, this is a nice I/O shield. It's sort of themed with the rest of the board. I will cover that a little bit later on. We have our 1, 2, 3, these are your 3 M.2 screws. It looks like they've given you an extra one. One will be for the M.2 key, which we'll cover a little bit later on. And then what I really like with these ASRock boards, they've been doing this since I think the latest X99 boards, they've included the full bandwidth, high bandwidth SLI bridge. Now this is one there, that's what they look like. It's nothing really fancy, but it's just a nice addition to get a high bandwidth bridge if you are going to be running a SLI 10 series setup. We have our drivers there. I do recommend going on their website to get the latest ones, and then got it powered by ASRock, which is nice. Interesting that it's not in red. This is a Fatality board, but it's got sort of a gold sort of design on that case badge. And then of course we have the board underneath. Now this does come with the anti-static bag, and it is zip tied to this foam. Now I have taken this out, but yeah, it does come with the anti-static bag. Now taking a look at the board itself, you can see that ASRock has gone with a very similar design as their new board, the Extreme 4 that they've released on the Z270 platform as well. The only difference with this one, they've kept with the red Fatality theme and they've added a few extra features. Now I also like that they've added these little plastic covers over any delicate areas, and it's always nice to have those which you can peel off. Now taking a look at the sort of the main features of this board, once again this does have ASRock's new Aura RGB lighting. I'm not going to cover that this time. I covered that in the Extreme 4. We've got RGB zone here, we've got a zone under the chipset heatsink, and then we have a zone over here. So I covered that pretty heavily in the Extreme 4 video, and I also covered the software as well, so I won't do that this time. We've also got a nice I/O cover. Now this is plastic, bear in mind, but it does add a nice touch to the board itself. I think a lot of companies are bringing out these covers now. Now starting at the top and moving our way around, same on the Extreme 4, we have a M.2 socket key E, so this is for your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth modules. Now this doesn't come with the board. I will say that's probably because this board is so cheap. It's $259 Australian. Now that's a really cheap board for a brand new release. Now these M.2 sockets, you can purchase them separately if you do want the Wi-Fi or the Bluetooth. Now moving around for the power phase, we have a 10 power phase delivery design, and you'll also find 45 amp chokes, but there's also a Z270 ASRock i7 gaming board, which is also the Fatality series, but it's not the K6, and on that board you'll find a slightly higher end 60 amp one. So you would assume the other board would have slightly better overclocking features, because these are just the 45 amp chokes. Moving on to onto the side, or moving down to the CPU side, of course we've got the latest 7th gen processor support, we'll be testing a 7700K in here, and you've also got previous 6th gen support, so say your 6700K and so on will still work in this board. And now moving down to your memory, of course we have DDR4 support, 4 slots up to 3866 MHz plus OC. We've got support for 64 gig of RAM, and it supports XMP 2.0 as well. Now, the one difference they've added on this than the Extreme 4 is we have these nice little power controls. Now these have the nice Fatality logos on them, and they do light up as well, and that's just your power and your reset, which is nice. Now moving down to some of the connectors we have, I do like how all the connectors are right angles. We don't have, say, 2 right angles, 2 straight up, 2 right angles, 2 straight up. I really just like having them all right angle. And here we have a total of 8 SATA ports, all supporting the Intel Rapid Storage technology. So you'll have like your RAID 0, your RAID 1, 5, and 10. And then we also have 2 USB 3.1 headers on there, which is nice. Not right angles, but that's not really a deal breaker for me. Moving down, we have the Dr. Debug indicator, which is nice to see on boards. I really do like those. They do make troubleshooting really easy. Moving down the bottom, we have the new RGB strip header, so that incorporates with the new ASRock Aura sort of software, which we covered in the Extreme 4. Moving on to M.2 support, we have 2 Ultra M.2, both supporting PCIe Gen 3x4 and SATA 3. So we have one there and one down the bottom. The one down the bottom will support 22110, so 110 millimeters, and the top one will support your 2280, which is the 80 millimeters up the top. Now moving on to slots, we have all 3 are your steel armor slots, is what ASRock is calling it. I really do like the look of those. Notice that ASRock hasn't started doing it on the DIMM slots, just the PCI Express slots. Also with the layout of these, for single card you'll get 16 by and then 0, 0 if you want to run one. Dual cards for SLI, you'll get 8, 8 and 0. And then triple, you'll get 8, 8, 4. Now you'll be able to do 3-way Crossfire, because Crossfire can run at 4-way, but if you're running SLI, the max you'll get is 2-way. Pretty much standard. That's pretty much standard on most Z270 boards, unless you will have a PLX chip. Now moving on to the audio, we have the Creative Sound Blaster Cinema 3 running off the Realtek ALC 1220 audio codec over here. Now that also contains 120 decibel DAC, as well as a TI NE5532 premium headset amplifier. Now this is used on a few of the ASRock boards. It's actually quite a decent little audio controller, and it supports headsets up to 600 ohms as well. Now that's nice. So moving on to some of the other things, we've got standard 8-pin EPS over here. 24-pin is in your standard area. Just taking a look at our fan headers just to make sure they're sort of all in the normal spots. We've got your CPU here. We have a secondary one over there. I do like it how there are 2. Now there is a pump header on these boards, which is nice. That will give you double the amount of power than a standard fan header. We've got a case sort of fan header over here. I do like one over here. Instead of keeping them all on the edge, I like having one in the middle in case you have a fan that needs it or something else. And then we have one over here, which is nice. But strangely enough, yep, we got one down the bottom, which is nice. And then we have your front panel connectors down the bottom. Now moving on to the rear I/O ports, we have the 2 cutout holes for the M.2 key. So this is if you do purchase or happen to have a Bluetooth or wireless module. That's the pass-throughs for the antennas. We have a PS2 combo mouse port there. We also have a Fatality mouse port. I'm really not sure what that does. It might have 0 latency or no ghosting or something. And then we have a standard USB 3.0 port. Moving on to the video output, strangely enough, they've gone with the D-sub. So we have one D-sub, a DVI-D, and we do have the HDMI. It's clear on what version it is, but referencing the manual, it looks like it'll do 4K at 30 Hertz, which I guess isn't too bad. Now looking at your USB 3.1 over here, we have a Type C and a Type A. Both of them are 3.1 Gen 2, and they'll give you 10 gigabits of bandwidth. Your Intel ports, we have 2 up the top. Now they are both different. One is a i219V and one is an i211AT. I'm not sure why they do different NICs, but they will support teaming, which is nice to see. We have 2 more USB 3.0 ports, and then we have the HD audio jacks over here. Now just taking one last look at the I/O shield once it's sort of on the back. I really do like how I/O shields have the have sort of the design of the board, the theme. We have the labels, we've got the Fatality. It really makes it that little bit extra, that premium feel, rather than getting those little thin little tin I/O shields that just feel really, really cheap. So it's nice that they have added this sort of premium one as well. Alrighty, now overclocking on this board was very, very similar to the Extreme 4. We had good results. I didn't spend too much time on it. I do have a lot of other boards to cover and a lot of other builds to get going on. But for the 7700K, I was able to hit 5 gigahertz. I was actually a slightly higher voltage than I would have liked. I managed to get it at 1.4 and stable at 5 gigahertz, but that was pretty much just playing around with the vCore and the multiplier. So if I was able to sort of adjust some of the other voltages, I probably could have gone a little bit higher, and that's only the one 7700K I have. So that's the first time I've tested it on this board. I do have a 7600K I used in the Extreme 4, so this is a different CPU and it's been untested in other boards. So I think 5 gigahertz straight away is a pretty decent overclock. And you're probably wondering why I have the Cooler Master Mastercase Maker 5T case here in an ASRock video. Now, as you can see, we've got the red on this one and we've got this gorgeous sort of, it's kind of like a sparkly red finish on the Cooler Master case. Now, I will be doing a build using these two components. I just had to finish off doing a video on the 5T case just alone, sort of just a review of the case and what features it has. Then I'll be doing a build with this board and the Cooler Master case in sort of a red theme and all that. So I was actually quite surprised how well, not sure if you can tell, these reds lined up. It's like they sort of work together to get the reds exactly the same. But yeah, that's pretty much it on this video. Really impressed with this board, 259 Australian. You pretty much can't go wrong. You got a heap of features and you also get that high bandwidth SLI bridge as well. So I just want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank ASRock for sending this out, and thanks for watching, and stay tuned for next time.